go over some of the high points of the at a glance page and why teachers, administrators, coaches, and the like should refer to this dashboard when making decisions around instruction and, where do you need to go from here, that kind of thing. So I'm here on the landing page of the at a glance, which is when you select the assess tab. The at a glance is typically the first place you go if you don't select something here. So the at a glance is here. And I'm going to tell you right now, the name of it, the at a glance, is just that. It gives you at a glance what you should be aware of. So one thing, first and foremost, are your folders that are on the screen right here. There's a folder with a wonderful number in there that tells you how much documentation. And I know, just stick a pin right here. I know how important those numbers are to you guys because you have X number of pieces of documentation to put in a day for students, X number of documentation to put in for a checkpoint. So this is why you want to stay current and abreast. You do not want these plus signs because that means there's zero documentation in here. So folders right here, areas across the top, names of the students over here on the left on this axis over here, and it tells us what period, checkpoint period we're in, time frame before your checkpoint is due. You also have documentation progress over here, a legend, and video tutorials if you so choose to look at those. But let's look at the documentation progress. When I look at the numbers that are in the widgets or the circles that are here, this says 33% that have documentation. This is important. This says 18% with preliminary ratings. These two numbers should typically be the same because that means there's 33% of documentation over here in these folders, but only 18% of the documentation over in those folders has a level. So that level is what makes this documentation. Just putting words in the dashboard does not constitute documentation. The level does. And we all know this all important check mark means that that is a completed entry. So 33% in the portal should be 33% leveled in the portal. So let's, wrap that up, get those numbers high and tight, make sure that they are the same. Because if you look down here, you have this blue, darker blue turquoise bar, and then you have a lighter turquoise bar. That means this part has been leveled. See the color? This part has not. Lighter color. So this gives you a running record of everything that's in the system, and it also shows you the amounts. So if I were looking at this, I'd say, okay, oh, there's a lot more physical than any other area. So that gives us kind of an idea of why these numbers are larger, that kind of thing. So you get to see everything that's happening. The other thing that I would tell you is when you are selecting your documentation for the upcoming week or what do you need to work on, when you don't have colors on your folders on the landing page, the front page, that means that you don't have 70% of documentation in this dimension. So notice when I hover, it tells me that at least 70% of dimensions have been rated for this area, and Bella's skills overall are progressing towards widely held expectations. So this tells me a lot of things. I have a lot of information in here. Bella is not within widely held expectations. So that means I might need to really spend some time with her on this physical area. I want to see a little bit more about it. So I'm going to select that folder. And so now I start seeing that she has objective 4, 5, and 6, or objectives rather, 4, 5, and 6 are in green. That means she should be at a blue based on her birthday. This one is within. These are progressing towards, so we might need to really take a look at what she's doing within the physical area. So there might be some need for some assistance or whatever the case may be. Because look down here, this is the same class, and we have colors that are blue, green, orange, yellow. We have the rainbow on this one. So our kids may need a little bit more support in the physical area. They might have IEPs or IFSPs. So that's really a good vantage point to look at a glance to kind of determine what needs might be there for your kids. So again, when I went out, let me go again to the beginning, folders tell you the numbers of documentation you have in there, but it does not tell you that it's completed, because it's also saying that there are preliminary levels that are needed for this particular area. If it's a green folder, 70%, or any color folder is telling you that you have adequately put or input 70% of documentation for each objective that is found in that area. So, social emotional, we still got some work to do. There's a lot of plus signs in here. There's a lot of folders that don't have colors. And second thing, first thing I told you, the colors on the main landing page. Let's go back. Colors represent that 70% of the documentation in that area has been entered and leveled. When you go into an area and you notice a folder that has a color, that means that has been leveled. The documentation has been entered and has been provided a preliminary level. If you see this folder that does not have a level, that means that does not have a color, that means that no preliminary level has been placed for that documentation. For instance, if I click into this, it's telling me here, these two pieces have been added, but it needs a level added to that. So let's look at that again. Colored folder has been entered and leveled. The documentation is complete. No color on the folder means that it's entered. See all of this that's written, but no levels have been added for those particular objectives that have been attached. That's why your numbers over here are not the same. So you have 33% entered, 18% leveled. That's going to all show up in your at a glance or within your at a glance. So let's just look at making sure that we tighten up on entering documentation with a level. So good job for entering documentation. Close the circle on that documentation by adding a level. And then these folders on the main landing page of the at a glance will have folders for you to use to see where you need to spend some time providing individualized instruction or individual support for your kids. And that's what the at a glance is for. So you can look at it, take a glance, make your instructional decisions. I hope this helps. Anytime you need anything, you need to go to mbconsulting.org, and these videos will be found under the tech tips. Have a nice day.